Of the magic strings of Frankie Presto. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Lauren.
Okay, Frankie Presto, the character in the book, one of the greatest guitarists to ever walk the earth, started life as an orphan, goes through some tough times, but it's about his journey. He becomes a star musician. How did the idea of this character come about?
Well, you know, ever since I wrote Tuesdays with Maury, which is 20 years ago now, a lot of people have said to me, that book changed my life. And at the beginning, I really didn't believe that because I didn't think a book could change anyone's life. But over the years, I've come to realize that people's gifts can change other people's lives. And so I got the idea about creating this character who was so gifted, such a great guitar player, that he had 6 magic strings that could literally change other people's lives over the course of his life. And when he played a certain way, a string turned blue and a person's life was changed. And so that's sort of the backdrop of the story. But it's meant to be a sort of a metaphor for the fact that we all have certain gifts or talents that get to change other people's lives if we use them, you know, honestly.
Yeah, you're a musician yourself, and we have some throwback photos of you through the years that we can show.
Oh, God.
Is there a little or a lot of you in Frankie?
Well, let's see. He's extraordinarily handsome. He becomes a huge rock and roll star. He's got a great voice and talent. So there's absolutely nothing that he has that I have, but I think it's a bit of a projection. You know, I wanted to be a musician when I started out, and I really, that was all I ever intended to do. I never wrote a word, but it didn't work out for me, and I sort of fell into writing by accident, and I found that that was probably my gift. And so the story's a little bit, you know, based on the fact that when you find what you're meant to do with your particular talent, whatever it is, you can be a lot more affecting than maybe just doing what you think you want to do to become famous or well known.
Yeah, now Frankie's a fictional character, but some might be a little confused because not only do famous musicians appear in the book, but they also helped compile a soundtrack. They also filmed some promotional pieces talking about Frankie, like they're remembering him, they're recalling memories like good old Frankie way back when. It's as if Frankie really was real. The idea to kind of blur the line between fiction and reality seems to be really fascinating to people right now. And I think others might be just a little puzzled. They think that Frankie Presto's real.
Well, that's actually okay. I've had some people say they've been Googling him and trying to find him.
Yeah.
But, you know, I thought it would be more fun that way. It's almost like Forrest Gump. You know, if you create such a magical character in music and then you put him in fake bands, people don't know what those bands were supposed to sound like. But if you put him in Duke Ellington's band and he's with Hank Williams and he backs up Elvis Presley and he goes to Woodstock, everyone can sort of imagine, oh yeah, I know those places, I know what those bands sound like, and then they can sort of place him in it. The musicians just were so great that they started by being part of the book, and then they said, well, why don't we make a soundtrack? And so they're actually, there's a record of songs that were never existed that are now remade by real musicians.
Yeah, so you saw there that video with some of the promotional pieces that these artists have created for the book. And I read that this is the first time you've actually hired a full-time researcher for one of your books?
Well, because, you know, it's really sort of historical. Everything in the book is accurate except Frankie Presto. He's there for all these huge events, so I had to make sure that I got all the music right. I had to make sure that the color of Hank Williams' car was correct and the date of an Elvis Presley concert was correct. But you know, as magical and as interesting as all the, you know, real stuff is, ultimately it's still a story about how we affect one another, that everybody sort of gets blue strings in life if you sort of figure out what you're meant to do. And Frankie Presto was just meant to play the guitar.
The launch party for this book was a star-studded event, lots of celebrities. Do you take a break from writing now, or are you constantly thinking about the next Frankie Presto?
Well, I don't know if I'm thinking about the next Frankie Presto. He's probably once-in-a-lifetime creation, but probably the next book. You know, people always ask you how long it takes to write a book, and I always say it took a year to put it on paper and my whole life to think it up. And I think that's pretty much what it'll be for the next one. But I'll be celebrating this one for a while. It's really enjoyable, and people have embraced it in a way that they haven't embraced anything since Tuesdays with Maury. I mean, the comments that I get from people and readers, and I'm glad because it's the biggest thing I've tried, and it's a personal sort of story.
Speaking of critics, I read one this morning that said that you can say in one sentence what others can spend a lifetime trying to convey. I thought that was so sweet. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know.
Give me that person's address. I can send them a thank you note.
There you go.
And I'll be in Dallas tonight. I might get a chance to see you and others in Dallas this evening, actually.
Oh, great. Yes, that is true. There's this big event that's going to be tonight at the Aaron Family Jewish Community Center that we do want to let everyone know about. It is at 7 p.m. We have information on our website, fox4news.com. And Mitch, thank you so much. The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto in bookstores now. We appreciate it.